You yesterday?
I hid behind the goalpost. I figured I was safe. It was a clinic yesterday, and it was a lot of fun to be at that game, except, of course, if you were a Steeler, I guess, Greg. You can watch years and years of playoff games and never see a performance like the one Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins put on yesterday in the Orange Bowl. Whatever the resourceful Pittsburgh Steelers came up with on defense had no effect whatsoever on the Dolphin juggernaut. The facts speak for themselves. No team has ever thrown for more yards in a playoff game than Miami's 435, and Dan Marino's 421 yards passing has been bettered only once in the postseason. That was 3 years ago when Dan Fouts had to work overtime in that memorable playoff game when the Chargers beat the Dolphins. Every time you think you've seen Marino at his best, he comes back with a better performance. And if he plants to top yesterday's 4 TD pass showing in the Super Bowl, then Palo Alto may experience an earthquake the likes of which they have never experienced before. Marino deserves all the laurels he received last night and today, but if truth be known, the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't exactly lay down on the job either, certainly not on offense. One of the richest rivalries in football was renewed Sunday, and to be honest, it was refreshing to see a big-time Dolphins-Steelers game again. Pittsburgh knew everything had to go their way to win, and they pulled out all the stops by reactivating Jack Lambert in search of a spiritual lift. They said they'd run the football plain and simple, and they did so early. Rich Ehrenberg's 7-yard TD blast up the middle tied the game at 7 in the first quarter. They were moving the ball, and no wonder. Watch again as center Mike Webster, number 52, blows fellow All-Pro performer Bob Baumauer toward the goalpost as the rookie back surges into the end zone. The Steelers averaged 4.5 yards a clip, a nice figure considering there was no mystery to their tactics.
We played good, but I think we could play a lot better. You know, they ran the ball at us pretty good the first half, and then they made like the big plays. Like I said, with Stallworth had a couple of good great catches, and then the last touchdown at the end of the game. But we just can't give those things to them.
We out-physicaled them, we out-manned them, especially in the first half. We were just coming off the ball and kicking their tails. But like I say, there were a couple very crucial mistakes that really cost us the football game.
Malone also had a 300-yard day throwing the ball, and the Steelers did score 28 points, enough to win on most occasions. Before the Miami offense made the outcome obvious, Pittsburgh was done in by 3 major penalties. This completion of John Stallworth inside Miami's 20 on the game's first drive was negated by his offensive pass interference. The next play was a William Judson interception. At 7-7 early in the second quarter, a run to the Miami 9 by Walter Abercrombie was nixed by a holding penalty way behind the play. The end result was a missed 53-yard field goal by Gary Anderson. The killer came with a minute and a half left in the half on the first play after the Dolphins regained the lead at 17-14. Pittsburgh was looking for points, and Frank Pollard started the drive with an 11-yard run out of bounds to kill the clock on his own 35. Holding called that back as well, forcing Malone to press his luck for points. He waited a tad too long looking for Stallworth, and Lyle Blackwood picked him clean. Miami turned this into a 10-point halftime lead, and the blitzkrieg was only in second gear. Now we get to the easy part. What Marino did to the Steelers was downright scary and cruel. In short, he shredded one of the best defenses in football. Virtually every pass was on the mark, and even when Pittsburgh sent 8 men in on a blitz, he was rarely pressured. So much of it is his release, and of course his receiver core is tops. But give a huge pat on the back to an offensive line that has improved on its less than a sack a game stats in the regular season. 2 playoff wins, no sacks. It's easy to grade their performance.
45 points, no sacks. I think pretty good.
A plus.
A. All right. We can always improve.
Dan is so quick with the gun that he sees it and still manages to get the ball off. So it's been that combination that's been working for us all year long. The fact that our offensive line knows what they're doing, what their responsibilities are. Our backs that are back there picking up blitzers do a good job. And Marino sees the blitz and knows that he has to get rid of the ball and does a great job.
They are pressure defense, and they try to come after us and make things happen. And the problem with pressure defense is anytime you blitz and you don't get there, there's the opportunity to get burnt for the big one. And that's what happened today. You know, we put them in a situation where they had to try and take the ball away from us, so they came after us. And every time they came after us, the offensive line picked the blitz up, and the receivers were able to get it open, and Danny put the ball on the money.
45 points against one of the best defenses in football. What does that say?
Well, they're not going against the worst offensive unit in the NFL, so they have to respect us, too, for being one of the best in the NFL.
Also in the post-game festivities in the Miami locker room, I asked Bob Brzezinski what he would do if he had to stop the Dolphin offense. He laughed, said one word: pray. Yesterday's game had more than 1,000 yards in total offense, which boggles the mind coming in a contest as important as an AFC championship game. Let me reiterate what we said last night. At halftime, the outcome was very much in doubt, but before the third quarter was over, you knew it was the Dolphins, and it was the Dolphins big. I can't remember a team playing as well as Pittsburgh was getting systematically rubbed out the way they were, but then again, I can't remember too many offensive performances like the one Miami put on yesterday. And oh, by the way, in case the 49ers are saying, great, Clayton's hurt because he didn't play in the second half. They looked at his shoulder today. He's fine. He'll be back in practice Wednesday.